Hello, everyone. My name is Priscilla Lake, and I did my presentation on guns versus aggression with the intent to answer the question, is it evil? Now, my article of choice was Kleinsmith. His article's name was Guns, Testosterone, and Aggression.
Initially, guns like the Mausers from Germany and the Carcanos from Italy were mere commodities, akin to household items like washing machines. Over time, however, they evolved into powerful symbols of rugged identity and personal strength. In gun country, gun capitalism, culture, and control in Cold War America, historian Andrew C. McKevitt reveals how guns evolved from mere tools to ideological symbols. Today, America holds nearly half of all civilian-owned firearms in the world. After World War II, millions of surplus guns flooded the U.S. market. Enterprising entrepreneurs like Samuel Cummings seized the opportunity, importing these weapons at rock-bottom prices. The Eisenhower administration turned a blind eye, preferring to see these guns in American hands rather than communist ones. Initially marketed as sporting goods, guns soon dominated the market. Domestic manufacturers, threatened by imports, pushed for handgun bans, disguising economic motives as patriotic concerns. This period marked the birth of gun culture. In the 1960s, rising crime rates and the assassinations of Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. spurred the 1968 Gun Control Act. However, the law had loopholes and was influenced by racism and paranoia. The 1970s saw the rise of anti-gun groups like the Civic Disarmament Committee and the Committee for Handgun Control. These women-led movements challenged the masculine image of firearms, framing gun control as a matter of home safety. In response to gun reform efforts, a new wave of gun rights activism emerged. The NRA and its allies reimagined the Second Amendment, turning guns into symbols of manhood and self-defense. Today's gun dogmatism is a product of this era. McKevitt argues that fewer guns mean fewer gun deaths. Yet, America continues to grapple with a massive number of firearms. The real issue isn't the criminals, it's the sheer volume of guns.
Now, the article aligns with Kleinsmith's article. The video aligns with Kleinsmith's article by exploring how guns extend beyond their utilitarian function to become cultural and psychological symbols. The video discusses how guns evolved into symbols of rugged identity and personal strength, resonating with Kleinsmith's view that guns are perceived as status symbols influencing behavior and emotional responses. The video's depiction of guns as tools of personal empowerment and control reinforces the psychological association with dominance. And finally, both sources highlight how societal constructs around firearms, whether as symbols of manhood as emphasized in the video, or as triggers of heightened aggression as studied by Kleinsmith, play a role in their perceived necessity and impact on behavior. Now, the relevance to the article would be that guns have been viewed as modern symbols of power, dominance, and aggression, traits that have historically been linked to male competition. Now, the hypothesis that I'm focusing on would be hypothesis 2. Researchers expected to find that males who handled a pellet gun versus a child's game would likely act more aggressively. Now, why does this make sense? As I've stated prior, guns have been viewed as modern symbols of power and dominance, so merely being in the presence of one is stimulating and may raise testosterone levels in men, leading to more aggressive behavior. The study focused on male college students. The number of participants were 30, and their ages ranged between 18 to 22. Recruitment method wasn't specified, and subjects were received extra credit or a small monetary reward. Now, the cover story for the study was that it was a taste sensitivity for men. Participants had been asked not to eat, drink, smoke, or brush their teeth an hour prior to testing, and once it was confirmed that they hadn't, their saliva sample was collected to measure their baseline testosterone. Participants were then led to a room, and they interacted with either a pellet gun or a child's toy for 15 minutes. The pellet gun was identical in size, shape, and feel to a Desert Eagle automatic handgun. And after which they were tasked with writing detailed instructions on how to assemble and disassemble their various items that they interacted with. There is a photo of the pellet gun and the toy. After which their saliva sample was collected again to measure any change in testosterone levels. And then the participants were given a sample of 85 grams of water with a drop of Frank's red hot sauce, and asked to rate its taste. Now, the bottle to the far right, the second one I am referring to, is basically the conversions from 85 grams to ounces, and that would be 3 ounces. So it is the bottle second from the right. Then participants were instructed to prepare a sample for the next participant anonymously. They could anonymously add as much hot sauce as they wanted. And there is a photo of Frank's red hot sauce. Now, to ensure that participants were calm after the experiment, participants had the option of watching either nature scenes or classical music, and after which participants were debriefed about the true nature of the experiment. Now, the independent variable for this study for this experiment as a whole was guns versus a child's toy, i.e. The mouse trap. And the dependent variable was aggressive behavior, measured through the amount of hot sauce added to the cup of water. Now, what you're looking at is a bar graph that depicts the mean / aggression scores as shown on the y-axis in grams, and the two conditions, gun versus mousetrap, on the x-axis. More on this on the next slide. Now, as predicted, by researchers, participants who interacted with the gun on average added more hot sauce, as shown on screen. Their average number was 13.61 grams, than those who interacted with the child's toy. Which was 4.23. This difference was significant. Now I use the Scooterville scale to indicate the level of spice of Frank's Red Hot Sauce, which is listed at 450, which is considered medium, mild to medium. Participants were allocated nearly a full bottle of Frank's hot sauce. Participants who handled a pellet gun averaged almost 3 teaspoons of hot sauce compared to barely 1 teaspoon by participants who handled a child's toy. Now, basically the overall thing that should be grasped from this experiment as a whole was that participants who handled a pellet gun versus a mousetrap game showed significantly higher increase in aggression and hence dispensed more hot sauce. As we have spoken extensively about it in lecture, the criteria for evil are as followed. Harmful, which is defined as actual, physical / mental / financial harm. Intentional, act was purposeful / willful, and excessive. Harm, excessive given, which means the harm was excessive given the provocation, if present, and unwarranted. Now, the first criteria, harmful, participants knew that, I said that participants knew that the glass they prepared or were preparing was intended for the next subject. People's levels of spice can vary drastically, and yet there was no regard. The second criteria, intentionality. Participants deliberately put hot sauce in water with the clear intention that someone was going to drink it. They could have chosen not to. And excessive. No provocation, yet participants who interacted with the pellet gun averaged almost 3 teaspoons of hot sauce, which demonstrates excessive action. So given that my rationale, I believe that it was indeed harmful, it was intentional, and it was very much excessive. So the criteria for evil was met. Now, a better way researchers could have stimulated evil was incorporating negative or aggressive language in instructions in the beginning. Experimenters and participants experimenters could have included language that subtly emphasized aggression or agonized, framing the experiment, i.e., the hot sauce paradigm, as preparing a consequence for another participant. This would subtly and ethically push participants towards an aggressive mindset. Also, escalating the aggressive tax. Instead of merely adding hot sauce, participants could have been given options: hot sauce, lime juice, and unspecified but harmless, and in this case, food coloring in a black bottle marked X, which would give participants the choice in the varying levels of discomfort, harm inflicted. Now, to conclude, undergrads interacted with either a pellet gun or a child's toy, a mousetrap. They then tasted water with a single drop of hot sauce. They were further instructed to fix a cup of their own for the next subject, as my results have shown, or rather, the results have shown a significantly higher increase in aggression from participants who handled a pellet gun versus a mousetrap game, as they dispensed more hot sauce. Finally, given that participants' actions met the criteria for evil, it was indeed, they did intend harm, it was willful, and it was very much unwarranted. It can be reasonably assumed that guns do induce evil actions. This is my reference once more. Thank you so much.